I love music. I make music. Did you know that I make music? I wore this so that you would know that I make music, because people still comment on videos saying, I didn't know you made music. Music is in danger of becoming something else that's not controlled by the artist. And that's bad for you. I was going to make this entire video about like why this is so sad and why it's so rough to be an artist and why you shouldn't use Spotify because it's bad for artists. But I realize a lot of people just do not give a shit about art or artists. They just want convenience, and they just want to be able to click a button and listen to something, listen to a playlist or whatever. And that is fine, but I'm going to come at this from another angle. It's bad for you as an individual. I'll also get into why it's bad for art and artists, so we'll get all of that together. But first I'm going to pay some bills while bringing you some deals. Oh, here's some Windows keys and then I'll be back. How about it? Please don't go out and buy a retail copy of Windows, because it's going to cost you 10 to 12 times as much as this. This is where I've been getting my Windows keys for the last couple of years, right here on whokeys.com. The difference is this is an OEM key, so it's tied to the hardware. The other difference is you'll be doing your own tech support here because you don't get the Microsoft tech support, but we're building a system, and I don't think any of us have ever used Microsoft's tech support, so right now it's time for the Halloween sale. You know, I'm spookier than Halloween, so we can do 25% off with the coupon code TS25. For these prices you're seeing on the screen here for Windows 11, we can make it a lot cheaper. You've got Windows 10 Pro, we've got Windows 10 Home, we have Office 2021, 2019, and 2016 here. Putting in coupon code TS25, click apply, and then watch these prices come down. Wonderful. Once you're finished, all you have to do is click on your user account up here, go to your user center, click on My Purchase Orders, just view keys and codes, and you can just copy and paste your key, hit start, type activate, click on activation settings, paste it in there, click on next, and you will be activated. You know, I never liked how Microsoft has different prices for different people. If you're a home user, you're going to pay 10 times more than an OEM builder or a corporation or something like that. And that's why I like heading to places like whokeys.com to get the OEM keys, so I can pay a price that makes sense. So thanks to them for sponsoring, and now to our regularly scheduled program. So in the past, we used to go and get our music like this. This is Andrew Holst, Rise of the Triad soundtrack. It's just what was on my shelf over there, but we used to have our music like this. And you see that? That's signed by Andrew. There's a connection right here with the artist. It's really made to be listened to all together. And if you want the full artistic expression, you can't just listen to a single or one song in a playlist. You really need to hear the entire journey that is that album. And you'll be able to sort of take a snapshot of that musician or that artist at that point in time and just experience the music. So you don't really get that with playlists, but there's something that's even worse that's going on with that. All right, let's start off with the big one. Number one, Spotify is training you to trust algorithms over artists. They don't want you paying attention to the artist. And I know if you're someone who goes on there and uses Spotify as a research tool and you like look up artists and afterwards you find an artist on one of the playlists that you really like, you go and buy it on Bandcamp or you go find them somewhere else, maybe go to their concert. That's not really what they like. And you're cool, but you're not their target audience. Their target audience is the type of person who shows up and just like plays a playlist. They don't want you to prefer any certain artist or whatever. They just want you to play the playlist because they can play whatever's best for them, number one. But number two, they've got you on their platform and they're basically training your brain to just show up and say, play chill hop, play heavy metal, play bluegrass, play whatever. And that's what they do. They just play that. Now there's no artist involved. This was a bit alarming, but I recently talked to someone whom I know is really into music, and or at least they used to be back in the day. And you know, a long time ago, I'd be like, "Hey, what are you listening to?" And they would tell me exactly what they're listening to. I'm listening to this Pantera album or whatever, like this brand new thing, and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, track 6, whatever. You got a minute 3:30, the breakdown. Check it out." And I'll be like, "Oh, let me go check it out." So now I was like, "So, what artist are you listening to?" And they're like, "Oh, I just listen to Witch House." And I was like, "Okay, well, which Witch House artists do you listen to? You know, whatever." It's kind of chill music. It's a good time of season. And they're like, well, I don't know. I just say, Alexa, play Witch House. So they're completely relying on Amazon's algorithm. And they're training Amazon on how they can better sell stuff back to them. So it's like this double training thing that's going on where they're training the algorithm and the algorithm's training them to trust the algorithm. And that's sort of where we are as a society. And it kind of hurt my head because I was like, well, is there an artist in here or anything? It's just you and the Amazon algorithm, you and the Spotify algorithm, or you and the worst of all, the YouTube algorithm. So that's a really bad place to be when it comes to, number one, it's bad for the artist, but A lot of people don't even care about that. It's bad for you because you're not able to experience a full piece of creative artwork like you used to be able to. You just kind of get this background stuff. Maybe you've found that music's like, it's cool, it's just good for background noise, but you don't get into it like you used to. Maybe there's a reason for that, because a lot of the new stuff that's coming out is very, very good, but you generally need to listen to the entire album to get the full experience. So if you're someone who just trusts the algorithm, know that that algorithm is training you to be the best possible customer for them to exploit. If you're okay with that, you like it, and you don't really care, that's fine. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'll judge you. Yes, I'm judging all of you who just sit back and say, play whatever, I don't care. I don't have to like you, but I'll go ahead and do what you want. Just, we can't be friends. If you do not pay for the premium Spotify, you get ads. You can't skip songs. It's not the best experience. Sometimes you'll be in a mood and you'll be playing something and it's got a, like you're playing your chill music and you're trying to hang out and it's raining outside and you're doing something, you're reading a book, and then a stupid ad comes on and completely destroys your mood. If you're okay with that, I'll judge you. We can't be friends, but by all means, you do you. I'm having fun with this. All right, the next thing that's bad about Spotify is that there are a number of security concerns and issues. Spotify has leaked user data to their other business partners, including your passwords and including your emails and logins, all that kind of stuff. They also injected users with malware. So I think this was in 2011. There was an ad on Spotify's platform, and if you got that ad, you did not even have to click on it. It would inject your computer with a virus, and that's just how it was. Hasn't been any major breach since 2020, but they don't care about your data as much as they care about the money they can make with your data. They don't care about you as a person as much as they can care about how much money they can make out of you, because you're the product, after all, on these services. Well, their podcasting is a mess. Number one, they have Joe Rogan, and there's a reason they have Joe Rogan. They want everyone on their platform, and they really cared about Joe Rogan because so many people were listening to that, dude talk about, monkeys, or what does he talk about? Chimps. He loves talking about chimps. And why men are weak nowadays, or whatever he's talking about, the rise of strong, tough men. I don't know about him. But anyway, they got him on there, and he was one of the big ones that people would go off the platform. So they've maybe spent way too much money on him. The point was not really just to get people to listen to Joe Rogan on Spotify, but the point was to get people to stop going off platform to find their podcasts and to learn to come over to Spotify to find all of their podcasts. There's an interesting thing going on with Spotify. They have a lot of different podcast categories, and if sometimes an individual decides to leave the Spotify platform, most people do not go off the platform to try to find them. They just stay on Spotify and keep clicking, let's listen to whatever's next in this category of podcast. I'm listening to paleontology stuff about dinosaurs, and it's like they almost don't even notice when one of their podcasters that they listen to all the time goes to a different platform. It's like they just cease to exist because Spotify has the algorithm down, and you've trained the algorithm, and the algorithm has trained you to trust it, and then you're just going to listen to whatever's next on the list, and that's how it is. You're locked into this platform mentally, not necessarily any other way, not physically or anything, or not even monetarily. You're locked into this platform mentally. It's kind of a toxic relationship, and it's not the best experience for you, because it's generally better when you find individuals that you like and then follow those individuals wherever they may be. And then furthermore, Spotify does censor some stuff here and there, but they used to censor stuff that was anti-Spotify. They've stopped doing that. If you say bad things about Spotify, they'll leave it on there now, but they used to remove stuff that was like anti-Spotify, which is interesting. The next reason why Spotify is bad for you is you don't actually own any of the music. It's just there. And sometimes you're not going to have the full library of your favorite artists. They're going to have a few of their albums on Spotify, but a few of them may not be there, and that's because of the rights issues for the artists. So you may not get the complete library. If you go off of the platform and do 5 minutes of research, you'll be like, whoa, there's 2 or 3 albums from this band that's like my favorite band, and I didn't even know they existed because I've been locked into this platform. And that's just the way it is. And the same thing's true on other platforms like YouTube or Amazon. They may not have the entire catalogs. So you don't really own anything and the catalogs are not there. You're able to download up to 10,000 songs for offline play. Now that's a pretty good amount of songs for a lot of people. Still locked to your Spotify, it's got that going for it. And 10,000, I've got 43,000 songs and I listen to all of them. So that's the main reason that Spotify is bad for you as an individual. The main thing is just that you're not getting the full experience. Now, as a musician and someone who loves music more than most people on the planet, I'm going to tell you the definitive way, in my opinion, to listen to music. Find the music that you're into. You can do that by going to listen to playlists or by going online and researching. One of the ways that I discovered most of the music that I like today was by going online and being like, who wrote this old video game music from the 80s and 90s? And then I ended up on some websites discovering all kinds of music I'd never heard before from amazing games that were released in Japan only and some in America, whatever. So I found a lot of video game music that way. And then one day I was really frustrated. When I was younger, I'd pretty much just stopped listening to American metal because a lot of it was like the chuggier new metal stuff, and they were playing on the radio. I didn't really know where else to go for it. Like none of my friends really were as into metal as I was, so I just got online and I typed American metal sucks into Google. And then I discovered a German website that turned me on to all kinds of metal, including a ton of American metal I'd never heard of that was amazing. So I was able to kind of stop listening to as much bluegrass. I was mostly listening to bluegrass then because it was like, this is intense. I like intense. But yeah, I was able to cut back on that and start listening to metal again. So if you can do a little bit of research, you will find stuff. Now let me tell you back to where I was before I went on that little tangent of how to find music. The best way to listen to stuff, figure out what you like, and then get albums from the bands that you like and put on the whole album. Just put it on. I guarantee you that the mood from listening to an entire album will be way more cohesive than just hearing one song after a different song after a different song, all from random bands in a playlist. It really creates a totally different mood. It's more of a journey. Whereas if you're just listening to playlists and you're just hearing one song from each artist, you don't hear the full scope of their sonic magic, as it were. I'm just making up nonsense at this point to sound fancy, but you know what I mean. You don't get the full scope. So I really encourage you to listen to, complete albums and then figure out which bands you like. Don't let the algorithm tell you that you like a certain genre or a certain style or a certain mood. Don't settle for that. Figure out which bands you like, because it's so rewarding to discover what they've been up to, where they've been. Maybe they're going to be 15 minutes away next month, and it's like you can go and check them out and see what they're like live, get a t-shirt, which is one of the best things you can do for the artists if you care. So speaking of artists and if you care, now I'll talk a little bit about that. I wanted to leave that for the end because I know a lot of people just do not care about doing the right thing for the artists or whatever. They don't care if the artists make money. And that's a little sad to me, but I kind of understand because it's just the world we live in. People just want what's easy, and they don't want to think about it, and they don't want to care that much. But for the few of you who do care about the artists, I'm going to tell you why Spotify is really, really bad for artists. Number one, they just do not pay. Just absolutely, they don't pay. And the CEO is always on the record. Let me see if I've got that article here. I don't know. There's the CEO's on record somewhere talking about oh, it's so difficult for us to pay, it's and it's not even our fault. We pay the publisher, and then the publisher is supposed to pay the artist and all that stuff. So it's kind of ridiculous. They always go back and forth about how difficult it is to pay. But let me just show you the breakdown and how all of this works. All right, here's how many plays you need to make $1 on all these different services. And you can see YouTube Music is by far the worst. YouTube Music is ridiculous. You need 1,250 plays to make $1. And by the way, all the major artists that have 70 billion plays or whatever, that's made up. They've cooked those numbers. I'm saying this allegedly because YouTube will get mad at me if I say it's true. But all those numbers that you see, that's not the real numbers. They put that in there basically to cheat and allow their own algorithm to continue to push that music because they have a huge interest in giving you the mainstream stuff because they'll make more money on it. Anyway, so what's best out of all this stuff? Napster? Napster, the old piracy platform, is the best out of all of these. Now, none of these are good. And Spotify says $3.15, but that's an average, and a lot of it's going to depend on a lot of different things. I know independent artists are probably getting less than that. And my own personal experience, so I've got millions of plays on Spotify, but I also have millions of plays on Bandcamp. And that's very interesting to me because on Bandcamp, it's a site where you can come and buy the music and then download it and have a copy of it, or even sometimes buy physical copies, records, vinyl, whatever. But people have come here millions of times and just played the music, which is wild to me because I don't get paid if someone just comes here and clicks on a track and plays it. I don't get anything. I get nothing. But this is what's crazy to me. Even though people have come here and played it millions of times, a lot of them have purchased this. And my return is 35 times greater than Spotify for the equivalent number of plays. So a couple million plays on Spotify versus a couple million plays on Bandcamp, 35 times more money in the artist's pocket. If I had all the plays on Spotify, if all of those were all converted into Bandcamp, I could just do music like I want to do. Make games, make music. I could just do that and I wouldn't have to make these videos and put advertisements for Windows keys and stuff in the videos to make ends meet. I would not have to do that. I could just do music. Spotify is stopping me. Well, not necessarily, but Spotify has changed the world enough that it's made it more difficult for artists to make ends meet. Now, yeah, they pay nothing. Like, it's unbelievable how low they pay. And so that's taken a lot of the revenue that artists would generate out of their pockets. Like, all that money's coming right out of their pockets, the money that they used to make on albums. And it's also shifted the way people respond to music because album sales are down, but single sales are up. So it's shifting a lot of that in my opinion, a very negative direction. Now, where's the money going? Because someone's still making a lot of money. Well, it's essentially the thing that's gone on with everything in this universe and this new post, late stage capitalism. That's what I'm looking for. The people at the top have figured out every way possible to make sure that they get all of the money. They don't want to share any of it. They want to make sure they get all of it. So the artist does all the work, their workers do all the work, and they get all the money. It's a pyramid scheme. Capitalism is really a pyramid scheme. And I don't know why nobody has realized that, but everybody works to make the guy at the top really, really rich. Or the girl sometimes, but it's usually the guy at the top. And that's exactly what's gone on here. If you're really curious about this, and if this is like making you say like, hey, I wonder what that's all about. Well, there's a book you should read called Choke Point Capitalism, and it's about how these huge companies have created monopolies and monopsonies at the same time. A monopsony is where they are the only place that you can get stuff. They've basically, like Amazon has basically turned their business model into like, okay, you need something, you come here, and if you're a seller, you've got to be on Amazon or we'll just crush you. So they've made their storefront the place that you have to be, which is a monopsony, meaning that all people have to sell through them. And that's kind of what Spotify and YouTube and all those different things want to be. They want to be the place where you go. You have to, if you're selling your music, it's got to be here or you're screwed. So they want to control that part. So they're controlling the contact with the artist. And then they can take a huge cut because they're like, we got all the customers, so you got to be here. And all the customers, hey, listen, you got to be here because we got all the stuff. It's like this weird thing. I guess monopolies are no longer a big deal in America anymore, so they just let it happen. But that's kind of where we are. And now if you're ready to go one step beyond that, there's another book which I just read last week called Techno-Feudalism by Yanis Varoufakis. And this goes even farther because this is about capitalism. It's about choke point capitalism. But this one I think is more on the nose. And Yanis Varoufakis says that we are no longer in a fully capitalist society because these giant organizations are operating in a way that's more akin to feudalism, where they're the lords of the digital land. And, they got their serfs, which are all the people who use the products, and they're all, like resources for the lords of the land. And then everyone who, works in this area has to pay homage and has to pay money or whatever to these feudal lords, which are like Amazon and Spotify and everything else. So I recommend those 2 books if you really want to go down the rabbit hole. But I'll leave that alone. I'm not going to push everybody to do anything too crazy. But what I will push you to do is really start looking for music elsewhere. Come over here, and I'll give everybody $1 off this month. How about that? It's already pretty inexpensive for this thing, $6.66. I'll make it $5.55. I'll do that as soon as I'm finished here until the end of the month, because spooky season, this stuff is really made for spooky season. If you don't want to get it on Bandcamp, because Bandcamp's been kind of lately, it's these big companies keep selling, and this started off as this beautiful independent thing, and then the idiot money people show up. So it's still good for the artists, even though the platform is now owned by who knows who, I don't know, somebody else. But if you want to directly get it from me, you can do that too. I have all the stuff here available on Epic Pants, including this sort of merchandise. It's right over there on the shelf. I'm wearing one of the shirts right now. Do I have that one for sale yet? Oh no, that one's on that one's sitting over there. I haven't put that one on the store yet, and this one's a good one right here. So yeah, if you want this awesome shirt, look, I'm just getting naked here on camera. There you go. That's my favorite shirt. I'll put that one on the site too. I got some stuff to do, so remember to do stuff. All right. Anyway, that's my plea. Please stop using playlists to, listen to all your music. Please stop allowing the algorithms to train you, and please get back in touch with these artists. Get that connection again. And you may not own the physical copy, so it may not have that tangible sense of like owning. But when you have everything organized like this, and this is all in my library, this is all on my NAS, I can just come through here and pick whatever I want. I've even got some. Where's that? This always scares people. I've even got Christian heavy metal. How about that? But I've got it. A lot of these things I used to own in the past as physical copies of stuff. What the hell? Oh yeah, I forgot. Clicking around. Forgot I set that up over here on the side. This is awesome. This is how I discover all my music. I come over here and I'm like, oh, I love this band or whatever. So what's similar? And I've got this little JavaScript thing over here on the side that says, oh, you like that? Well, you probably like Moon Sorrow. Of course, yeah. And you come over here and research, whatever. Anyway, yeah. You've got to set yourself up something like this. And if you want to use my theme, the next video is going to be about Foobar, which is the player that I use, and how to set this up. I'm going to make it really easy. I'm just going to let you download and install my theme so you don't have to get too nerdy. You have to get a little nerdy. You got to do a little bit of work here. Like we used to have to get up and take these things and clean the discs. Remember that? We have to get up and we got to clean this disc and then put it back in. So we had to do a little bit of work. And this is going to be less work than that. And less work than physically putting these things into your CD players or your CD changers. But it's going to be a little bit more work than just allowing Amazon Alexa or Spotify or YouTube to just play a bunch of stuff for you based upon their recommendations and their algorithm and all that. So, yeah. The last thing that I want to touch on is, where do you get your music if you're not just streaming it? How do you do? We've come so far that it's like, I don't know how to buy music anymore. Well, if you're not getting it on Bandcamp and you don't want to get it here, there's another way to get it. I'll just bring something up on the screen. Right, let me see. This thing right here, it's on the screen. That's it. Let's get one of these. There we go. Yep. That's how you do it. Especially if you already own this stuff, if you purchased it on iTunes or something else, well, sure, you deserve a copy. What kind of files should you get? My favorite kind of files are Opus files, but those are not available everywhere. As you can see, most of my library over here, if I bring this over, some are MP3, but most of them are Opus files. Whenever I can, I use an Opus file, and yeah, if you can get those are the best. If not, AAC is good. FLAC is obviously lossless. If you're a snob, no one's going to be able to tell the difference in my 224 kilobit per second Opus and FLAC. It's not going to happen. Sorry. I'll give you $100 if you could sit down and listen to 20 songs and do better than like 70% or something. I don't know. You won't be able to do it because it'll be 50-50. All right, that's enough. Stay tuned for the Foobar videos where I show you how to set up this awesome theme and how to get it running. And I've got a theme for vertical. I've even got a simple theme if you want. I've got a bunch of themes you can just download and install. And you know what? If you want really easy, easier than foobar, just get Music Bee. Music Bee is so easy, and it works. It does a great job. So Music Bee, foobar, and then get some music going. Discover some stuff. Take a day and do this. It'll be fun. Anyway, I've pushed as hard as I'm going to push. Please stop using Spotify and YouTube and Amazon Alexa. Listen to music. If you want to stream this music, well, maybe I need to make another video showing you how to stream your own music from your own devices so that you can have your own streaming server. It's beautiful. I love mine. All right, everybody. Goodbye. Be sure to head over and grab one of these cool t-shirts. Where are they at? I thought they were on the website already. And while you're at it, grab some of that music and everything else. Enjoy the sales. Enjoy the music. I don't know. Good salutations. Goodbye.